Any questions that you deem necessary about what's going on in the city. First of all, I want to thank you all for coming out this evening. And for the first time, the folks at home, we're live streaming the meeting so that folks at home hopefully can watch and see what's going on that couldn't be here. And I know that we're competing against the Cleveland Browns draft, but hopefully the things we talk about this evening will turn out better than their results since 1999. So I want to thank you all for coming. You can't hear me up there? Cannot hear me?
No, it's good.
Okay, if not, move down. There's no increase in price for the good seats here. First of all, we're here to engage this evening in a frank discussion about how we deliver city services. And I understand the role I was to play when I came back here as mayor. I believe that was to establish our city as a great place to live. Okay, all right. Well, we're going to talk about that this evening. Okay, I think I had something to do with the way that it was. Hopefully. Absolutely. Okay, you want to go to the next slide, please?
Mayor, we have 30 seconds till live.
Okay. At any rate, we're going to talk about those things this evening the way they were and the way they are. And it's going to be a little bit of discussion, I think, that what you're used to from a politician. Because I stand here today as your son of the city, and I have no interest in what the political outcomes may be, just again to have the results that hopefully that you want to see and that you will want to enjoy. And the only way we're going to be able to do that is by help from you, not just your elected officials. And so you'll see the headline behind me. It says, "The hell with politics." And I'm sure you all read that. And the connotation is the mayor don't care how the people of the city voted. And nothing could be further from the truth. What the truth is, if you'll be kind enough to listen to me, you may learn something. But if not, then you're wasting the time. Okay? So what I meant by that was this. I have no political agenda. I have no interest in higher office. My only interest is to come back here and rebuild the town. We all realize that even before I came here, things were not very good. Can we possibly agree on that? Okay, all right. Okay. All right, well, immediately to me, it was obvious as to what was needed to turn our town around. And that was additional resources. And what happened? I came in believing that you would understand that in order to have what we enjoyed, we would need additional revenue. And why was that? Because I wanted to come in and grab money out of your pockets? No, because anyone who lives in this town, whoever drives above the railroad tracks on Ingle Road, will see demonstrably that the engines that were built generated the kind of life we had in the city of Brook Park. And I said to you then, and I'll say to you now, what kind of city do you want to live in? And what are you willing to do to have that city? Okay? I made proposals to you on increasing the city income tax. We made proposals to you on property tax for senior programs that are so near and dear to us. We talked about it, and we did. I actually enacted consolidation of fire operations, which actually improved our response time citywide and reduced our costs, which we'll talk about a little bit later. All right, and I proposed to the council. One of the things that you're pretty upset about this evening is, what are you going to do with your yard waste? And I made a proposal to council of how to deal with that so it wouldn't affect your life negatively, that you could just put your can out there and life would be the same, but it would involve us changing the way we deliver services. And that's what we're going to talk about this evening. How can we deliver a quality of service to you that won't affect your pocketbook and give you the same results? We can only do that if we change the way that we deliver city services. Okay? Go ahead and go to the next one here. Okay, again, we just talked about all those proposals were rejected by you. I think I'm getting an insecurity complex here. Everything we proposed to you, there were reasons why we proposed those things to you, and they were rejected. So this evening, for better or for worse, whether you voted for me or not, okay, we have to determine whether we're in this thing together or we're not. Our city's future is being challenged. The great city that you all talked about, that I grew up in, that I think I played a major role in developing and sustaining, is challenged. Okay? It's being challenged. Your city services, your streets, your fire and EMS, and that's why, again, we're here this evening to talk about that. There are solutions to this, but not if everybody keeps their head in the sand and isn't realistic about what the situation may be. I'll move this thing here a little bit. Okay? All right. So what are our challenges? Okay, go to the next slide. Our challenges to our city are pretty clear. We have an older population. And we have a younger population, and they both have needs. Our seniors have special needs. Everything that we do, I'm a senior citizen. Almost every senior citizen program that we have was created either when Tom Coyne was a councilman or as mayor. And it was sustained by a revenue source to do it for all of those years. So that challenge still exists, all right? And there isn't anybody, any elected official, whether they agree with me or not, or anyone doesn't believe we'd like to try to keep doing that. But we can't do it the way we used to do it. It has to change because we don't have the resources to provide those services in the past, because we'll talk later again about manpower that drives this. And what's the challenge to the younger population? They want their recreation programs. They want the rec center. They want the pool open. They want extra. They want amenities, so they'll stay in Brook Park. The same amenities the older population enjoyed. They want all of those. But there's a price to delivering those services. We had the first and the largest recreation center of its kind in Ohio. There was only one other, and that was in Dearborn, Michigan. They had a Pontiac plant. Why? Because we wanted to give our young people an opportunity to be off the streets and to enjoy programs and grow and be prosperous. You see, one of our graduates of our program, Joey Bocci, I'm sorry he's going to Michigan State, but we're very proud of him. Why our coach couldn't get him to Ohio State, I don't know. Okay, let's go on to the next slide. Okay, so tonight we need to begin to have a discussion about change. You have to embrace change. Whether we want it or not, whether you like it or not, no matter who is in this office, no matter who sits on council, for this town to prosper, you're going to have to make changes and you're going to have to participate in that. Okay, so tonight we're going to talk about city services, we're going to talk about streets, we're going to talk about every issue in the city that is going to entail some kind of sacrifice by you, or it won't work. But our biggest problem in the town is this: it's getting information to you. Okay? We send out information, everybody tells me, I don't read that stuff. I throw it in the garbage. Okay, we put this out at the beginning of the year to every home in the city of Brook Park. I outlined the challenges facing us and remedies that we were going to discuss in the upcoming legislative year to try to move the city forward. And all you get is this. I believe I have a copy of it with me if I didn't give it to somebody. Is the funny paper. You know the funny paper? This right here, the funny paper. Okay, there's nothing truthful in this whatsoever, except maybe a description of my personality. That might be correct. The fact is that you as citizens need to have information to determine whether I'm making the right decisions, or council's making the right decisions, or if there are things out there that you need to know, we have to get it to you. So this evening we talked about Brook Park Connects. You're going to be able now to watch the council meetings on a live stream for a very small investment. If you remember when I was mayor before, we had Cablevision, Complexa Cable. You could sit at home with a bowl of popcorn and beverage and watch your council and your mayor and see what was going on. It was very helpful to me because I was a very young mayor, and while we're changing things now, if you look at my history, I've always been changing things. I've always been controversial. I've always been willing to challenge folks and people to get the best for our town, and I hope that you'll try to understand that I'm doing it now. So, what is Brook Park Connect? Okay, you now can go on Facebook, our new official Brook Park Facebook page, and it's our face to the world. It'll be regularly updated with official press release information as well as links back to the city website for expanded information. So you will have a site that's based on information and not opinion. And again, folks are entitled to their opinion. You'll also be able to get that information on Twitter for those of you who Twitter. I don't Twitter, but for those of you that do, you do. Okay? So this social media network that we're going to employ, hopefully will give you the opportunity to find out what's going on in your city. There will be a mayor's page. Hopefully you'll be able to have some dialogue with me. I might do a day or an afternoon where you could just sit at home and we can interact, and you can tell me whether you like what I'm doing or not. All right? And again, true dialogue, real information, and honest reporting. And we hope that brings you a new window to what's happening in our town. We can move on to the next thing here. Okay, again, city services. What's happening with our city services? There is no question that over probably the last 30 years, this city enjoyed services that were second to none. Police, fire, and service. And even with the cutbacks that we've had to make this year, we believe they're still pretty good. The problem is that how do we make decisions how to allocate the workforce that we have? So when I came in here, all of you heard about, you know, the city's going to the toilet, we're falling apart, we're broke. So the simple way to explain this to you, we've never been broke. We had an issue of spending money that was our savings account to operate. We were spending economic development money that was used to be to bring businesses in to pay taxes, so you know, that money was being spent to operate, and that's how we were going along. And at some point in time, that was going to run out. So last year we did a couple different things. We went to our employees, just like many of you that may still be working, they had to contribute to their health care. We went and we reduced ranks of some people. And we laid a bunch of folks off in the first of the year, about 17 people. And that reduced our payroll about $1.6 million. So what did that mean? We got $1.6 million to spend? No, it meant we weren't spending $1.6 million out of reserves. So that, more than anything else, brought us back into line where we can go forward on the operational side. But there's some pain to that. Okay? We stopped plowing senior driveways. Why? Because we didn't want to do it? Because we didn't have the personnel to do it. We didn't have the manpower to do it because we had to cut back. That's why we didn't do it. That's why we didn't do it. Okay? And this is going to be a continual spiral through the town because we have to get the right size. So the fact is that we're not going to stop services. You're going to hear me say this again and again. We're going to change the way that we deliver services in our city because we really don't have a choice. Unless you're willing to spend a lot more money in your taxes. But I don't think you need to do that on the operational side if we stay. We're right now about 142 employees in the city. That's the leanest we've ever been. In every instance, the unions in this town, that some people like to disparage, have made tremendous concessions to us operationally, from a manpower standpoint, to get where we need to get to operate our city. So, one of the issues that probably brought you out tonight here, and I'm glad you read something we sent you, was your yard waste collection. Okay? That's probably brought a lot of you here this evening. Okay? I proposed the city council to privatize, to outsource our refuse collection. Why did I do that? I have a great legacy. I stand here this evening as a former garbage man. We have this evening Councilman Jim Mancini as a former refuse collector. Probably the best job I ever had. Some of you may suggest I'd still be there, I don't know. But at any rate, okay, why did we suggest that? We suggested that because here's what we reduced the service department itself by 9 people. And what does that mean? That means in the morning, the safety director or service director, Luke Katz here today, when he gets up in the morning and he comes into work at 7 o'clock and the workers are there, he has a choice. In the wintertime, he can pick up garbage and plow the streets. Not enough men to do sidewalks, not enough men to plow senior driveways. Okay? Not enough men to do anything else except those 2 things. In the summertime, the other is opposite. He picks up garbage, and he had yard waste, ties up 9 people every single day. So what happens? Routine maintenance work, chuck holes, the grass, the parks. There's no men to do that work. Or women. We have women also. There's nobody to do that work. So if we outsource that refuse collection, everything that you have right now, the same recycling, the same everything, will be picked up at your curb. Now, there is a nostalgia, a love affair for what was the past. Okay? And we have a challenge in the town about what we're going to do about that. Everyone is afraid to change something because they're afraid of the repercussions of that you will not embrace change. I hope they're wrong. Because I can tell you today, if council will enact and authorize me to do that, you won't know one difference because the trucks that are picking up now will be picking up then. The cans that you put it in now will be put in then. The difference is it will be outsourced. There was a decision made during the Elliott administration that was backwards. Every city around us, everyone around us, except Cleveland, outsources this collection. And some of them charge for this. And I want to make it clear to everybody in this room, I hope that council will entertain my suggestion and we outsource this. It's not going to cost you a dime. You're not going to be assessed anything. Anything. Not one dime. Okay, and we have trucks that we purchased that now are at the point, right now in your capital improvement, which we'll talk about later, it's $233,000 a year, and we have 4 more payments on those trucks. We got to go forward, not backward. How do you deliver these services? How can we do this to you that doesn't inconvenience you, that doesn't cost you anything, but by changing the way we do it? Pure and simple as that. No evil thoughts behind this. There's no master plan to break the unions. The company we talked about is the Teamsters. All right? But all of that really doesn't make any difference. Again, how do we deliver services to you? So if we outsource that work, we can not only provide you that service at no cost, we can do the kinds of things that we need to do every single day. The biggest thing in our city since I've been here, and will not change, is our sewer problem. When I was the mayor of this city, every single day, 365 days a year, the mains were being jetted, the catch basins were being cleaned every single day. Do you know why? How many people in this room have had flooding experience here? Huh? Probably 90% of you. No matter how many sewers we build, no how many retention basins we construct, we still have to maintain those sewers. Most of us in this room live with the nightmare. When I was mayor for most of my time, I couldn't go awake on the weekend for fear it was going to rain, and you'd be calling me and say, he doesn't care about me, he's not here, my basement's flooded. So those are the things we do if we outsource the rubbish. But you can't have the funny papers convincing you the negative. Where's the solution to the problem? Members of council have to know they're there to provide for you based on the revenues that you give us. But if they're afraid to change or intimidated by the challenge to change, man alive, we're in trouble as a town. We're in trouble as a town. How did all of us get here? Most of us got here because they fought in World War II or they fought in the Korean War and they raised their kids. Those are the people who built this town. They'd be afraid of change, challenge? I don't think so. I don't think so. So again, what I hope to do at the end of the evening, when you have your questions, how can we address this problem? Is putting the grass clippings in the trunk of your car ridiculous?
Yeah.
It is. Yes, it is. I agree with you. But when I provide, I'm tired of the 16 months that I have spent here offering solutions to problems that make sense and politics getting in the way of getting those things done. So what I'm saying to you, if that measure was enacted, probably most of you wouldn't be in this room this evening. So help me get that done. That's one thing you could help me do. And we'll have further discussion how we're going to help you. But believe it or not, sooner or later, it's got to be done. It should be done sooner rather than later to get our town in the 21st century.
A lot of seniors don't drive.
Okay, we're gonna get to, when you ask your question, let me get through my program. I know that. I know they don't. And they also don't cut their grass. We'll talk about that as well. Okay, EMS. Last year, we consolidated all of our EMS and fire operations into one fire station. What did that do? As from my standpoint, this has been a long-standing problem for our city, and it was largely a logistical problem. Many of you remember when we used to have 4 fire stations. Many people remember that?
Yeah.
Do you know why? Railroad tracks. Railroad tracks. When I was running for mayor in 1982, I raised that issue. I said, when I'm elected, I am going to address the problem of accessibility east of the railroad tracks, where I lived at that time and where I was a councilman. Never, ever, ever opening another fire station, building grade separations to alleviate the problem of those railroads affecting the way we deliver EMS. So having said that, I left office, got the money for the quiet zones, got the money for the grade separation, and it was built. And Mayor Elliott closed the station on West 130th. Moved folks here, maintained the Rupel Road station. Okay, we had overtime one time is more than $500,000. That reduced the overtime cost in the city because of minimum manning agreements that are in the contract. And so they went from 9 to 7. So therefore, when I came in looking at the finances of the city and my knowledge of how that service can be delivered in our town, looked at it, and I believe then, and I know now, because my experience was proven to be correct, we could operate out of one station, protect our people, and as an offset of that, we could save a lot of money to be used for something else. The reality of that operation is this. From 2009 to 2014, it cost us $1,000 every day to operate our EMS service above what we should be paying, all right? The firefighters will tell you, well, hire more firefighters. That doesn't resolve, it's the same money, except it's more folks. So what we did was we worked out of this station, and we just reassigned the folks from Rupel Road by my home into this station. We eliminated one position, and what did that do? That made the 7-man minimum provision in the fire contract unenforceable because we were in one firehouse. Ideally, way back when, instead of everything being on Holland Road, should have been on Snow Road in the center of the city where we have the bridges and all those kinds of things. That didn't happen. I can't answer for that. But the way we deliver services now, I have to answer for. And here's the real shocking thing. Last year when we consolidated operations, and I will argue about the people on Eagle Road, we probably saved their lives because we were in one location, and we had the maximum strength there, and there was a shift change, and we had enough people to save the lives of those folks in that home. But let's look what happened since that time. We had an election. I know most people believe that they voted on opening a firehouse. If you read the language, it said minimum manning. Goes back to the fire contract again. What cannot happen under any mayor, any other council, is a union runs the town, that the contract prevails over common sense and budget restraint, that it prevails over delivering services to people. That can never happen.
What's the staffing level, Mayor
Okay.
Boyd?
I'm making my presentation. We'll have your
Overtime. It's
Okay.
staffing.
What I'm saying to you is when I get done, sir, when I get done, we'll answer your question. When I get done, excuse me?
Tell the whole truth.
I will. You can answer your question when I get done. In the meantime, I'm going to run my meeting.
Yeah.
You can see what part of the problem is.
Dictator.
All right. Thank you very much. I've been elected by the people of the city. I don't know what a dictator is. At any rate, the city is forced to spend funds it cannot afford. So we need to have that discussion. Because as we move forward, I open the station over there again. Because do I believe that it provided better service to the city? No, I do not. And we are monitoring the events of how we operate right now. We'll be more than happy to have this debate with the fire department anytime they wish. And we'll take a look at that. And if circumstances dictate, I will probably close it again. And the reason I'm telling you that is this, all right? Anyone, why don't you be a gentleman, sir, and let me speak, and then you can do whatever you want.
You control your people back here.
Okay, that's right. Thank you very much. The firefighters and I can have a debate. I'm reporting to you from my standpoint over here, okay? Now, there are folks that are going to run around this town and maybe try to recall me as mayor. And that's quite within your right to do so. But if you want to hold as mayor, then you should do that. But what I want before you leave here this evening, when someone comes up and they say, what is their alternative? Now, I'm going to tell you something right now. I do not challenge the ability of any of our safety forces of any kind to deliver service. Never have and never will. It's how we deliver that service. That's the point of contention here this evening. And I have to tell you, if you keep your head in the sand, I don't care what union it is, I don't care what operation it is, whether it's the steel workers or the auto workers or any other group in this country, things have to change. They will change, whether you want to or not. And the issue is, can this city sustain itself? If it doesn't change, no, it can't. And if we don't address these problems head on, not in an adversarial position, because if you want to fight, I know how to fight. I know how to Brook Park fight. And I've won more than I've lost. All right, that's for another meeting. All right. So therefore, we need to have a continued discussion about this particular issue. All right. So one of the things we talked to you about, which will be a major change, not now, short term, we need to address this issue. Whether it's manning, whether it's overtime, whatever it may be, we need to address it and have a discussion about it outside the vacuum of just negative. Okay? Outside that vacuum. Now, we looked at privatizing EMS. And again, we had a presentation by the firefighters at our meeting. And in this informational piece, we refuted everything that they had to say. It's not to say that they're wrong or that we're wrong, but down the line, in the future, We have to have a discussion about this, because I don't care what city it is, I don't care what mayor it is, we're going to have that discussion. There's so many things that you don't see and you're not affected by, or you are affected by, that you don't understand. No suburban city, we have mutual aid with every city around us. And that works for us. But what it does, it hides what our real ability is to deliver services to you. Because nobody really has a fire department. Most of our work is EMS. We probably will agree on that. All right? So no city has the ability to deliver both in a consistent manner. That's why you may or may not know. Why is an ambulance coming here from Middleburg Heights? Or your friends in Rio say, why is an ambulance coming from Brook Park? Because the fact of the matter is, it's all out of whack. And it has to be, if we could address it in a larger issue, in a regional issue, Brook Park wouldn't have to make some of the decisions that we have to make, or are going to be forced to make, or be in a position not to deliver you some of these services at all if we don't have this discussion. Okay? So let's move on past all the EMS stuff if we can, and get down. There's an issue about this, the lawsuit, I believe, is the next one. And you're going to hear that the law director of the city, I guess me hiding behind him, as you know, you may or may not know, we have elected law director, we have elected finance director of the city. And the law director filed a lawsuit against the Political Action Committee. And you're going to hear that citizens have the right to initiate a petition, which they do. They have a right to put things on the ballot, which they do. No question about it. But also, political action committees have a responsibility for their actions as well. All right, you heard I'm this dictator. Well, it doesn't work. It doesn't fly, because it can't even be close to being true. I am the mayor. I have authority under the charter that you have given me. And if I don't exercise that authority and that control by the charter, then I'm letting you down and I'm failing in my office. And I'm never going to do that, even if it's to the point that you remove me. I will not do that. I can't do that. I'm not made that way. And again, you have to play the fool in this job to do that. So what's happened here, there was this Citizens to Secure Our Safety. More from vote against this, vote against that, more from the Astorino Mayor Committee, more from the people against the airport expansion, more from whatever. They've been people consistently that have opposed primarily what I have sought for the city. And to show you the credibility, and there might be some different members, but there's some same members, okay? Anyone who wants to argue with me, the airport agreement, which was not ever passed by City Council, was ratified by the vote of the people, where I got an issue petition. Without that airport agreement, without the NASA money, we wouldn't even be sitting here talking anymore. You'd have been out of business about 6 years ago, because it's that revenue that has sustained us through the loss at Ford. So when you criticize me, as people did then, selling them out, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, it became the salvation. It was the salvation of this community. So again, why is it important? Because no matter whether you like me or not, whether you voted for me or not, is inconsequential. The mayor must have the authority to do what's right, even sometimes against the will of his people, if it's the right thing to do. And I will suggest to you this, that that's the problem with our country, is we don't have leadership. Whether it's the mayor or the council, no elected official can ever fear giving you the facts, telling you the truth, and asking you to support us. Okay? That's what we're all about up here. Whether you agree or you don't agree. Okay, let's move on to the next slide here. Okay, our recreation center. The jewel of our town. The reason for the success of so many of our young people, they call it the rec. And what happened? Okay, when we put a measure on the ballot, I asked you if you would pay a property tax to the city to keep the rec center open and to provide for senior services. The average homeowner in the city would cost them somewhere between $115 and $150. You overwhelmingly said no. Not paying that, not going to do it, that's it. So, as we said in the levy, that if you didn't do that, it risks closing the rec center. Now, just like I hope to have a reasonable solution to the other things, that, well, okay, so therefore, I got to find a way to keep it open. How can I do that? Well, we had the first daycare center for people at the rec center when I first became mayor. They're now paying rent. They hadn't paid rent in 15 years. We have a special needs school. It's in the basement of the school. They're paying rent to help offset this. The pool area that we had to close because of the cost of the resources to keep it open, we had a group that we thought was going to rent it out, but they found out if it cost you about $5 a square feet, there's about, it would be costing them, I think the pool area is somewhere around 30,000 square feet. It would cost them $150,000 a year to rent it. There's no health club that can take that risk. So right now we're still struggling as to what we're going to do with that. If you please roll some of the slides of what the roof of the rec center looks like, okay? And what we need to do to keep it open. Nobody sees the roof. You're not happy with some of the inside, but you need to see the roof and the utilities to keep the rec center open. You know what it's going to cost? $3 million. To do the HVAC, all of our lighting is out of whack. Right now it's $300,000 a year in utilities for the rec. So we went out and got a study. There's a program that if you can reduce your energy costs by a certain amount, there's a guarantee from a contractor, and you can use that savings to pay for the improvements. And council passed that. And that's going out for an RFQ right now. And hopefully they'll come back and say we'll be able to do that. And we're also going to move the city hall over to the rec center to utilize space. And why are we doing that? Because Tom Boyne wants them to name the center after him. Can't be done. It's already named after John Powell, your former mayor, so that rumor floating around. The reality is our old buildings over there were built in 1959. On any given day, you can come down the hallway in my office and there's about a 25-degree temperature, whether it's air conditioning or lack of heat. In the wintertime, too much heat in the summertime. So the buildings, just like in the council thing, $80,000 to fix the old air conditioners in the council building. It makes no sense to do that. These improvements have to be made, and those are capital costs. Capital costs. So keep that in mind as we go through the next parts of the presentation. We have operating costs, and we have capital costs. The policeman's salaries, firemen's salaries, administration salaries, utility bills, the materials that we use, all come out of operating. That's an 80% of the revenue that comes in the city. The 20-some million is spent on that. 20% is capital improvement money, and that's where we really have to have a frank discussion, about what's going on. First, we're going to get real quick in a few new initiatives, because I want to get real quick to your thing. We're going to do some new things here. We went through the budget way back when, I think it was 1997. I got $1 million and change for some noise insulation because of railroad issues. All right, and what we found is we have one more with Holland Road done now. I don't know if the gentleman here is from Wedgwood. He always calls me loyally about bitching about the trains. We're looking at, Mike Dolan's here this evening, our economic development. We're trying to work with Berea to get the Sheldon Road crossing, where that's a quiet zone, to give some relief to our people back in that area by Wedgwood and Leslie and some of those areas. Okay, so we took $1 million of that money, leaving the rest of it there for that crossing. And we're doing a couple different things. If you remember before, we had a 50-50 program for our sidewalks. Having walked the streets recently, I can tell you the sidewalks pretty bad. So it's a 50-50. You pay half, we pay half. We're going to look at, when I did the sidewalks, we ground the roots coming up. Many of you complained, I had my sidewalks fixed. It's the city's roots, da-da-da-da-da. New program, cross connections. Many of you in this room have a cross connection problem. Even though we've eliminated a majority of our sanitary and storm problems, There's still some cross connections issues. We're going to go in there, do an assessment, and be a 50-50 partner with you because technically it's your problem. That's not good enough for us. So council put, about $150,000 in there. And we're going to do a neighborhood rehab program. A gentleman grabbed me over there and said, Mayor, we got too many rentals, we got this. We hear you. We have 300 vacant and homes in foreclosure in the city. We just got a grant from the county of over $300,000 to demolish some of them. And some folks are going to be, well, we got to rebuild these. We have too many fixer-uppers, flippers in the town. We hope that on the lots that we acquire, we demolish the homes and offer them for new housing. New housing starts in our city, so young people can come into the town and try to revitalize it. So those are all part of some of the programs that we hope to see for this year. Okay, we'll go to the nitty-gritty here of why I really need you here this evening. As I said in the beginning, we're going to go to the streets, right? We got some nice pictures of the streets here. Okay, let's do a little montage here of what our streets look like. Can everybody see that up there? Can you see it? Have you driven around the town? Okay, what do you think? Not so good. Okay. On the operating side, we work things out with our unions. We work things out and get the operational side. We outsource some work. We do some different things. We can manage that with minimal growth going forward. I believe that we can do that. But what we cannot do is attack the capital structure problems, infrastructure problems in our city without your help. I drove around recently, right after the snow, we thought the snow was going to end, and drove around with the engineer. Right now, this spring, right now, whether it's Michael Drive or Wengler Drive, right in front of the school, the streets, we don't have truck holes, our streets are disintegrating. Now, when I said to everybody the average age of our street is 60 years old, I'm not lying to you, because I came here in 59. We have redone some of them. Our streets are in terrible condition. They're beyond service workers repairing them. Okay? We've got to rebuild our streets in this city. And that we cannot do without you. It's impossible. There's not enough money. The loyal opposition, I'm sure the next funding page will come. The mayor's not putting any money in there for the road program. Wrong. We're going to do Leslie and Sylvia this year, finally, after all these years. And that street is a short street, $900,000 is what it's going to cost. After that, you know what we have? We got to get police cars. We got to get snowplow trucks. We got to get body cameras for our police officers. We got to get bulletproof vests for our firefighters. We have to buy new turnout gear for our firefighters. So our equipment cost, independent of this, will probably gobble up whatever else we may need. And people can challenge those things all they want. It doesn't add up to the amount of money that we need to rebuild our streets in this town. So let's get back to you. We know all my faults. We know all the terrible decisions I make. Okay, but most of them, the operational side, again, we can do something about. So I'm going to go to council, and I'm going to ask them to place on the ballot in November a 0.5% increase in the city income tax, which will generate somewhere between $4 and $5 million a year. Most of you in this room, by the way, you don't tax retirement benefits. It won't cost you one dime. But if you're serious, no matter what you feel about me, if you are serious about rebuilding your town, you got to look in the mirror. Where's my mirror? Okay? You got to look in the mirror and ask yourself, what have you done to make your city a better place? It all comes down to you now. This isn't for salaries for anybody. It doesn't go to me. It doesn't go to the policemen, firemen, service workers' salaries, all our outrageous benefits. It doesn't go to that. It goes into your neighborhood, to your property value, to you. To you. Gentlemen said, I'm ashamed for people coming to see my street. So am I. You know what angers me every day? Driving around the town, looking at what we see, and there isn't anything I can do about it. Isn't anything that I can do about it. I can't go with the budget. There's no money being hid anywhere. This needs to be done. And finally, let me talk about the elections coming up this year. All right, and I have some disputes with a couple of members of council. No question about it. Always have, always will. The vast majority of our members of council are very good people, and they care about our city. And we have honest disagreements. But what's most important is they need to know that they can recommend change and support change for you. Now this year, I'm sure you're going to have a raft of candidates. I want to make it clear. It doesn't matter who you elect to city council. I'm not running a state of candidates. I'm not recommending anybody. But here's what I suggest you do. And the reason that I want the income tax on this year's ballot, I would have hoped that it would pass, but I think now you can see, or hopefully recognize, why this is necessary. So when they go to your door over the years, councilman might not know you. How you doing? Good, how's the family? Great. You got any problems? No. Okay, I'll see you. It's not good enough anymore. When they come to your door, ask them, do we need the money, the mayor line? If they say no, okay, how are you going to fix the street? How are you going to resolve this issue? What about if we change this? What do you think? Ask them. And the good ones will tell you the truth. And I believe the majority, they need to, all they hear is the negative. All they see is the negative. They don't hear from you to say, hey, listen, Buster, let's get this done so I don't have to take my yard waste in the trunk of my car. Hey, listen, Buster, we got to support this program. We need this revenue because the seniors need vouchers to help them stay in their homes for their needs. Listen, man, I got to tell you something right now. Where are you at on that program to prove the rec? What are you doing there? Ask them those questions when they come to the door. Because you know what? They'd really like to answer them. I think they'd really like to tell you how they really feel. Because in private, I know how they feel. I know how they feel. I built up a relationship with many people in this room over a long period of time. Some of you are gone. One of my favorite stories is, you know, I got a little new constituency. The kids I graduated from Safety Town. Okay? My old constituent says, you're a bum, you've taken everything. I'll share one final story for you before we get question and answer. I went to the senior program. And I lost my mother 3 years ago, and she was a member of that program. One minute I walked in and she said, Mother, be ashamed of you for what you're doing. I said, okay, yeah, maybe she would. She'd be ashamed of me if I wasn't telling you the truth. And so we found a little money to bring the bus, thanks to councilman, they found a little money here, and we brought the rides back. And she said, you know, you were a bum before, you're not so bad now, but you know I love you whether you're a bum or not. Okay, which made me feel a little bit better. So again, we're going to open this up to questions, and what we're going to do is this. We're going to have a couple folks, a couple young ladies down the thing here. We want you to get in line, and I would ask that those who regularly appear at the council meeting to give some deference to those folks who usually don't come to the council meetings, who may want to ask some questions. Okay? So, Jennifer, Mitzi, you want to come down, or should we like the Price is Right? I just know we're going to get the microphones right in the aisle. Come on out and get in line, and we're going to get this going, and we'll try to, maybe if somebody hears what's on the draft, we'll go from there. Yeah. Yeah. We'll alternate between. Is that Mr. Peterlin?
Yes, it is,
No,
sir.
no, sir. Go over there. You're already set. I want people who are, you can wait till the end. You come to council meetings all the time. I want to get some people who haven't been to council meetings. Yes, sir. We will after everybody else gets to come up. Go ahead, sir.
I understand there's not a lot of money. You know, that's a fact. But is anything being done to bring new business into this community? Because I never hear or see of anything.
Yes. Yes. And I'm glad you raised that issue. Okay. We have Ford. Everybody read about 200 new jobs at Ford? Good news, right? Okay. Does anybody have an idea how much that revenue is going to be generated by those 200 jobs? $48,000. We need to keep doing that, okay, and we are doing that. We have development that wants to come to the parcel on Ford. We need to clean up that parcel. Along Brook Park Road, you're going to see some movement as well. So what had happened in the past, we had a parking tax that we enacted way back when I was mayor. We have been using that money to operate the city. So therefore, there wasn't money being expended. What we're doing on Brook Park Road now is that if you want to build a building, you know the old caboose up there, that crazy building with the Quonset hut, okay, we're going to, our program on Brook Park Road is going to be, we'll give you the demolition, we'll give you money, we'll support you on streetscape, and you bring so many jobs in the city. Harley Davidson is an example.
Yeah.
But again, Harley Davidson is a small amount of money, but collectively, if we start bringing those things in, we will do it. Yes, sir. One final question, we're going to get over here.
Can we capitalize on our closeness to the airport? I mean, if you look at Atlanta, they're built up all around the airport.
Yeah. Well, yes, we can. There's a concept called Aerotropolis, which does just that. You'll be reading, I think you have read, we're in the process of buying Park and Fly. And why are we doing that? Because we want to make sure that revenue source is sustained, and we'll probably be in competition with Cleveland over parking rights. But again, that money that comes at $900,000. So what we're trying to do is take that location. We want to develop Ford property. And, you know, they want it, but they don't want it, and we have to clean things up. So right now there's 450 acres there, and we have proposals, Mike Dolan will probably tell you, to probably develop half of it right now if we begin them out in that barrier. And again, the loyal opposition will tell you, what the hell is Mayor going to give the money for to clean up their property for? Because they don't have to do anything. They can just sit there if we don't provide them some. So we're starting to work on that, and just what you said. To get back to where we were, Ford Motors about $2 million more in payroll. We need about $160 million in payroll to get the kind of revenue we need to do things. Okay, yes?
I'm Kathy Durr, and I live in Brook Park for 40 years. When these people come to your home to ask you for a vote, ask them if they know the charter. They don't know the charter. That'd be a good question to ask these people that want to run and be voted on. They don't know the charter. They wouldn't be arguing all the time if they know the charter.
Yeah, it's like most people don't know the Constitution. But you know what I'd rather prefer? I'd rather prefer they understood the budget. They might have easy.
Okay, budget, and put it either way. Okay, if you said you drove around Brook Park.
Yes.
I live on Sandfield.
Yes.
Back in December, they tore up my whole tree lawn. They did $1,000 damage to my tree lawn. Did I have a gas leak? No. I think they cut into the water line because they dug up the water line in my yard. I had people driving past my home looking at the...
So the water department dug up your lawn?
And so did the gas company.
Okay, well, if you give the service director sitting right there in front, you give them your name and address, they do come back in the springtime and make repairs.
They overkilled. They drove over it with a
Yeah,
truck.
well, they're not very considerate.
No, I agree. But when the snow came, I was happy because it covered it up. Less people.
Okay, thank you. If you'll give your address to the service director, we'll get it fixed. Yes?
It did fix my basement when I lived in the condos.
Thank you.
Remember?
Thank you. Thank you. What the old adage is, oh, what have you done for me lately? Mitzi?
Mr. Mayor, this is my first time coming here tonight. I've been here, living here in 40 years. And when I first saw you tonight, because of all this garbage brouhaha going on, I thought I was going to be hauled off to jail, probably. Because my husband says, please, I don't want to hear you going off to jail.
I'm going to be hauled off to jail, or you?
My question is, how do I know who's telling me the truth? I'm here alone.
Okay, here's what you have, and you heard the firefighters. Tell them the whole truth. Well, it depends on what your priorities are. The truth is that we have to change the way we deliver services, and we go through this every year with the contract. The truth is, we have to change the way we deliver services. When someone says to you, the city of Brook Park has $22 million. It's a lot of money. But that's what it costs. to run the city. So the fact of the matter is, why would I put you and myself through this aggravation if it wasn't so? Why? Why? For my own enjoyment? I don't think so. I don't think so. We have to challenge you, the citizens of this community. All right, and I will say, anybody here this evening, you know what I used to do? I had neighborhood meetings all the time in people's homes to talk about this. Okay? And I'm willing to debate anybody on any issue that faces the city. Okay? Can I make mistakes? Yeah, but I'm usually not wrong. So what I'm saying to you is anybody, let history show that. It'll show that. Okay, at any rate, if any of you want to do that in your neighborhoods, I'll be more than happy. If you believe that newspaper is factual, I have to tell you, is there anything that's good happening in the city? All right, and let me say this, When I was mayor before, he didn't like what I did then. Mark Elliott was mayor, he didn't like what he did. All right, there's a control thing. I'm elected to control. That's what you elected me for, to run the city until you replace me. Okay, which is your right. So that's what the situation is. Are you here at the state of the city? The facts are the facts. How do we allocate our money? When I was mayor most of the time, it was either 60-40 split, 40% went to capital improvements. We used to do $1 million in parks and recreation when I was the mayor, keeping it up, and changing it, and making things better. That's not a reality anymore. But you have folks here that will challenge us. You spend too much money, and we won't be candid if we really want to get anything. There are folks, what are you plowing the snow for the seniors for? Why don't you close the rec? And I'll tell you that straight out. That's a waste of money. How do we address the diverse constituencies that make up our city? Okay? So all I can tell you is that it is what it is. You can believe who you want to believe. I have no reason to misrepresent anything to you. What's that? Yes. We're not picking her up. Is the mic on? Yeah. You got to speak in the microphone. What's going to go on with the trash collection?
Yeah,
okay, I have legislation before council to outsource it. It probably won't be accomplished in time to relieve you, so I'll talk to the service department about what we can do to try to keep it going for as long as we can. But it needs to change. Make no mistake about that. It needs to change. So then, therefore, we can do all the other services that you need as well. So again, we'll have this, council and I will be having a discussion about that.
My question is, the 0.5% income tax for November, will that money go for capital improvement?
Only. Yes. I won't support anything else. Will not. So that you know what it's going to be used for. Okay? Who's next?
Hi, I'm Heather Pilchcooper. I live on Smith Road. I've had problems with the road construction in front of my house and with the road in front of my house for 7 years that they're ripping up, and it's doing incredible damage to my house. I've contacted the city. I've tried to get a hold of 1 billion people. I tried to talk to you. I got nowhere. I contacted the councilman. They actually got back to me in 5 minutes. Directed me to the engineer, who talked to me once, told me it wasn't his problem, it was the service department's problem. I've had problems with my sewers. I've had problems with a million things in this house in the 7 years that I've lived here, and it seems like everybody wants to pass the buck to somebody else, and nobody ever wants to sit down and address the issues. So, I mean, who am I supposed to talk to as a resident?
Well, you're talking to the right person. It doesn't go beyond there. Okay, so let me say this to you. Road construction, sewer construction is an inconvenience. And, you know, for many years we had one contractor that kind of did everything. Was kind of sensitive to operating in an urban area. Smith Road is tough because the volume of traffic that's there. Your claims about it shaking your house and all those things, I don't know that to be a fact. Did they remedy, did they knock the house connection down for the cable? Okay. All right, well, anyhow, again, what I would suggest is you call me on Monday. You know, the engineer didn't respond, and ordinarily what's happened when they're done with the total project, they have a punch list of things that they have to repair. It is always inconvenient for our citizens when we have construction. Always.
thought the 7 years before that where nothing was done and there's
Well, yes, Smith Road, yeah, there's no question about it. And so therefore, this is exactly what I said this evening. They're going to do, if you've driven down State Route 37, it's been a disaster. They're going to do part of a project today. We participate with the county on these funds. We have to contribute our share. Right now to this year's capital improvements, I've got to commit almost $300,000 to engineering to provide so we can get in line to apply for that funding, because it's still on the county road system. So we will make some repairs there. The big repairs, you said they do segments of Snow Road and Smith Road, and you'll be there. When they're going to do it, I don't know at this point in time. But we'll get in and make some repairs to give us the time.
About my house.
Okay, now I will come over there personally. I don't know if we can do anything about your house. Because some of these complaints that you're talking about, I don't know what they are. I'll have to come there personally and see what they do. And I will do that.
Before they finish whatever they're going to do.
Okay, they're not going to resolve those issues that you're talking about with the construction project. And I've been around here long enough to know every time we do something, then whatever problem existed, that was the fault of the construction. Maybe it isn't. Maybe there's some interior problem you have. I will come and visit you with the engineer and we'll see what the situation is. I can't speak for 7 years either. I don't hear. Okay? So if you'll be patient, we will get with you. Yes.
I'm Charlie Troutman. I've lived on Radmacher for 28 years. You're talking about the council people. In 28 years, I haven't had one come knock on my door and say, Charlie, how the hell are you? Do you have a problem? I don't know. I don't know who the hell my councilman is. And another thing, I think you need to have a chart that shows a breakdown of I know the crap flops on your desk, and I have these are broken down to the different things like the council people around your staff and everything like that, and the fire department and the engineers and everything like that.
Okay, well, you know what? I'm glad you raised that issue. The age-old thing is that Mayor Coyne's a double dipper, and all my staff are no good people. Well, let me say this to you. You stopped paying me in 2002 when I retired. Let me finish one. I have a new salary. And we will show you the breakout. None of my people are making the money that the previous mayor's people made, because I recognize it. And I don't have an assistant. I haven't filled that job because we can't afford to fill it right now. All right. So therefore, do some things lay in the wait because of that? Yeah, they do. But make no mistake about it. I don't know where this $2 million cabinet comes from, because it just certainly doesn't exist. So what I'm saying to you, everyone can point their fingers at something to achieve the economies of scale that we need, and there's a lot bigger holes. It's easy, the mayor's a politician, we don't need him, and we don't need his people. The fact of the matter is I have the most qualified administration that I have ever brought. And there's a reason that I brought these people. There's a reason. Okay? So, we will do that. We will lay the charts out for you. The most important thing, what I'm going to ask you to do, from your pocket, and most of the people in this room will not have to pay it, give us the money to repair your streets. Okay?
Yeah, I'm OGI and retired, and I say what I'm thinking, and I want somebody to tell me treat me the same way. And I'll be coming to the council meetings and see who the hell is supposed to be working for me.
Right. Well, you know, let me say this to you now. I'm not disparaging the city council at all, because we've accomplished a lot of things. What I'm saying to you is I want them, and you should want them, to feel comfortable talking to you about change. I don't have to get elected. I don't want to get elected again. That's not why I came here. But it's hard for somebody to come say, Charlie, you know what? You got to dig in your pocket. I know you're retired. We don't tax retirement benefits. Would you vote to give us a few more dollars to fix the street? I know what you're going to say. And I'm willing to bet you right now that those folks who voted against the property tax, if I went to them today, particularly if they needed our services, and I said, you know, would you give me $120 to keep those services? I'll bet you they'd say yeah, because you know why? Because they realize how much it costs. So when they come to your door, Charlie, hit them right between the eyes. But I want you, but they need to know that you're receptive, that they can talk to you about what the real issue of the town is. They can know that.
I don't like anyone to try to bullshit us, I'll tell you that.
Well, Charlie, I got a feeling, ain't too many people bullshit you over there. Yes, sir.
Yeah, my problem, I understand about the street stuff. My problem is choices, or lack thereof, alternatives to problems. I don't care if it's the lawn service or the snowplow service for the senior. I don't understand why we're given a choice to say, this is our shortfall in that program. If you want that to continue, you have to pay $16, whatever the cost might be, for those to continue. We were never given that choice. The same thing with the rec center. I did some things on my own. I agree with you on that. If you look for the rest of the rec centers in this area, for us to be commensurate with what they are and what they're paying, we have a facility at Brookgate that charges $10 a month, has nowhere near the facilities we are. We should be paying $15 a month for all the extra things that we have. It would generate an excessive amount of revenue. It would have been an alternative for us to vote on, those of us who were members. We were never given an opportunity before things started closing down.
Okay, let me say this to you. What you just said is very, very important. Because you're right, that's the market. If we asked you to pay the members what it costs, you wouldn't come. Because you couldn't. Let me finish now. Let me finish now. Okay? The alternative, the simplest way to do it, is everybody to share in what that cost was. So therefore, what happens? Like you're going to see now, again, we have to respond to how people come. We're going to be closing the rec at 1 o'clock on Saturdays because after that, or even before that, there's nobody in there in the summer months. So the fact is, it's just like my dear coach out here, John, love him to death, okay? He called me up and said, Tom, I'll tell you what, I'll pay another $10 to get my driveway filed. I says, Pa, it's not the case of you paying another $10. Here's what it costs to deliver the service, and the people who were there before are gone. Now, realistically, if we all came in here and we said, you know what, we're going to, and why did I segregate those things? You're a member of council, Mayor, you put two things on at one time. You know why? Because I have a constituency in this town that says seniors should fend for themselves. And I don't have kids in the rec, I don't care anymore. What should I pay for that for? All right? However, there are families, there are seniors that depend upon the rec center. So, I thought it was important to have a referendum by the people of the city. Remember, you're all looking at me now. Put the cat back up there. Put the cat back up there. Okay? Look in the mirror. All right? Presented you what the situation is. Said to you what would occur if you didn't pass it. But I found a way to keep it going. It's chugging. Why is the pool closed? Because it costs too much to heat, and I have more lifeguards than I have people using the pool. Okay? So what I'm saying to you is that for the rec center itself, we go way back before when we put the addition on it. You're talking about other centers. I wanted to tear it down and build a brand new one. We could have built a new one for $8 million and had it on one floor and had the flow right and maybe generated more people. But municipal centers all over the country are dying. First they had the competition of Bally's, and the ones that you have now, that brand new one in Brooklyn, there's scores of Brook Park people, $10 a month. How are you going to compete with that? And why should the taxpayer subsidize that, particularly if you're not losing it, that you're not using it?
This is my point. I'm agreeing with what you're saying.
Right.
But I think we just wanted the opportunity, because I voted for those things, to be honest with you. But once they failed, I wanted other options being presented to me other than just closing it. And I haven't heard any of those. It doesn't matter what source of media that you're looking at. And I think it would have been a good idea to try to sell to people. This place gets $10 a month. They don't have a pool. They don't have a basketball court. They don't have a place for seniors to walk every day. And they're open how many hours, and it's packed all the time. It might have been an easy sell to the members to say, to continue this, compare it to what they have we have a better product. I didn't hear that from any
Okay, and what I'm saying to you, okay, just common sense will tell you that sounds easy. If we presented the price to the members, it would be so cost prohibitive, you'd say, I'm not going to do that. You can't compete. Now listen to me. You cannot. All right, and the fact of the matter is, you may well be given a choice now if folks want the pool back open again. Okay, because there's an inherent cost that most, and I mean by far most, of our people do not use. So with Euphoria was the group that was going to rent the pool and bring new exercise equipment. We're going to make some improvements there through the capital side at the rec for equipment for our people, for the ones that are there right now. Even with what we've actually did for the short term, we've increased membership, but our revenue is lower because we're doing $10 a month to get folks back in there again. All right? And unless and until we make the major capital improvements, the attraction and the amenities are not going to be what folks want. Yes, sir.
Mayor, what will the tax cost? I know I don't pay anything, but what will the 0.5% tax cost on a $100,000 home?
Oh, geez, I don't have my calculation out here. Have we got any mathematicians in the room? Income tax. It's an income tax, which you won't pay. Retirement benefits are not taxed. And you get 100% credit. Here's the other thing that people forget about, is that we give 100% credit to you. So, sir, are you retired? Are you retired? Are you retired? Won't cost you anything.
It's going to cost somebody something.
Well, there are some, but for the majority of the people, our ordinance says we don't tax retirement benefits. Okay.
One other question is, I have a friend of mine that has a retirement on this project on Smith Road. What can she do about that?
She had what?
She had a tire and a rim. She had to replace.
You hit the chuck hole?
She had something on the.
Oh, she could file a moral claim and we go from there. Okay. We'd be paying for a lot of tires and rims. Okay, next. Sorry.
Yes, sir. My name's Jim Dan. I'm a transplanted Brook Park, and I moved into the city about 17 years ago.
Well, welcome.
Thank you. And I do consider it home here. I do love the city, and I respect the people in the city. But anyway, my question is, you already brought up, the very first gentleman come up here about improvements we're doing to the city to help bring in more revenue.
Right.
You know, you traded the IX Center years ago for Brook Park Road with the city of Cleveland.
I'm glad you said that.
Why is it taking 15 years and Brook Park Road still looks like crap? Nothing's going on. The other side of Snow Road off Ingle, the other side of Ingle Road on Snow Road, we put up a parking garage. There was supposed to be a hotel that was supposed to be in there, that never appeared. There was supposed to be a gas station that came in, that never appeared. What is the city doing to bring in revenue when it loses revenue? If I lose a job because of outsourcing, which I hate the word, I lose a job because of outsourcing, I have to find a new source of revenue.
Right.
The city's talking about, you're losing all this revenue. What are we doing to bring more revenue into the city? And about the outsourcing, that could be a second point. How much is this going to cost to outsource as opposed to the number of guys that you've laid off who've lost good quality jobs? Yeah, they're working. They lost $18, $19, $20 an hour jobs or $9 and $10 an hour jobs with no benefits and no pension. I've been there. I hate it. I almost lost my house because of it. First of all, what's the city doing to bring more income into the city?
I'll answer all your questions. I'm glad you brought up about the IX Center. Because Mayor Coyne didn't sell the IX Center out to anybody. Let me finish. Let me finish. There was a court order that provided for that. Now, having said that, we haven't lost one dime in revenue from the IX Center. Do you know why? Because the substantive agreement that was passed by the citizens of this community that I negotiated, as long as the IX Center operates as a convention facility, we get the revenue. Also, where you have the Fire Credit Union and all that places over there on Grayton Road, we get half of that revenue for 30 years. So that addresses that issue. And those are all economic developments. And when I was mayor, we acquired the other side of Brook Park Road. Now, what happened? Your issue about the parking lot is 100% right. People were, we created special zoning so our parking lots would not be put out of business by Cleveland's operation. They could raise the rates, lower the rates, and put our people out. So Chavez went and got a zoning change in the city. And what happened was this, he promised this executive center, and he promised, and I wasn't the mayor then, by the way, okay? That's what he promised. He didn't deliver, and if you read, he's the parking lot operator that's trying to peddle his goods to the city of Cleveland. All right? And we're hoping down the line, after we acquire ours, that we get control of the parking for a public purpose in our town so we will have the revenue. Why is that important? The parking tax, the parking license, generates about $900,000 a year. And that money, that license was instituted for the very reason you just talked about. That we would have resources to say, hey, how about coming to Brook Park? Everybody's in competition. We have resources that we can build a better sewer for you. We can do this. Everyone goes by All Erection Crane and sees all that stuff sitting outside when you drive by there. You know what I'm talking about? We proposed and council passed to build a road through there. From Hummel to Brook Park Road. Why? Because we wanted to create a supplier city there so that the transportation costs for the suppliers to Ford would be minimalized. And we also had about 200 tool and die shops that supported Ford Motor Company. Well, what happened? Foundries closed, automation, all kinds of things. So what are we doing now? Because the parking tax is still being used to operate the city, part of the $1 million that we took, you talked about the special program, we're going to put $500,000 in improvement of the Brook Park Road corridor, including Ford Motor Company, to help clean up their property so we can redevelop things. And when you see the competitions going on, we have the best location. New York is bringing, you don't have to pay income tax, you don't have to do this, you don't have to do that. So you're in competition with those kinds of things. And you're talking about outsourcing. I hear you. The reality is that's what the world is going on. Throughout the world. I was over Ford the other day with Sherrod Brown. Ford has outsourced so many of our projects to Mexico. So you saw, let me finish now, okay? So here's Ford with our great union people of Local 1250 arguing about the same thing. Well, Local 1250's talking about jobs in America. Ford Motor Company is talking about the manipulation of the currency. Okay? That's what's going on in the real world. And I told you, new work at Ford is $15.49 an hour. The city, again, how do we deliver services? How do we do this? And if there are non-union companies that are doing that, so far the ones that we're dealing with are union companies as well, that do pay benefits, that do this. If they are not, then unions have to organize people. They haven't been doing that in a long, long time. I'm not going to bore you with my history. So what are we doing? We're trying to, right now, we're looking at the Brook Park Road corridor, Harley Davidson's. We need to concentrate our efforts, beginning at 150th Street down to Henry Ford. You will see things happening there. It's a slow growth thing because everybody feels that their property is worth money, but not as much as they think that it is. But most importantly, the thrust right now is getting an aluminum foundry at Ford Motor Company. I would give my life to get an aluminum foundry at Ford Motor Company so we can cast engines again. And so you know, my first thing, when I was mayor, my proudest moment, and I think the proudest moment for an American worker, is when we wrestled the Jaguar engine to be built here in Brook Park, Ohio. And we were trying to get that Tata Motors, who now purchased it. The plant's still there, the workers are still here, the aluminum foundry is still here. So we tried to get that going. And Ford said to us, hey, we don't want our competitor on the campus. So there's going to be a challenge there with our longtime provider as to what we do. And you've heard me talk about this, not in a derogatory sense, but trying to awaken folks' senses, is that we have two cemeteries in Brook Park. We have Holy Cross, And we have 450 acres at Ford Motor. And if they would agree with us, give us the land, and we will redevelop it. And I'm telling you, Mike Dolan's in the back this evening, he'll tell you how many companies want to come in because of what you just said. Our location will never be bad. It's how we make it work. We're also talking to our arch enemies in Cleveland about doing some through-the-fence air freight operations. We have 22 acres behind the IM Center. Yesterday, we spent hearings with the Army Corps of Engineers. Everybody know where Ruble Road's at? Yeah. Does anyone remember Raiders of Sweet Corn? Anybody remember that? Okay. Raiders of Sweet Corn America, Brook Park, Ohio. 22 acres. That was a corn farm maybe for 100 years. Okay? Is now a wet zone. It's a wet field. And what happened is when they did the construction, they didn't fix a ditch, and now it's a wetland. So we're arguing with them is, we have a tenant right now, they'll take up whole 22 acres and bring a couple hundred jobs to our town. Right now. But these are the impediments that you have when, we're still an entering suburb, or we're an older suburb. We don't realize that. So to answer your question, we are doing every single thing that we can to create more employment, because my adage is this: the more jobs that I create in Brook Park that is paying income tax, I don't have to come to you. And only one time in my 20 years, in 1999, I came to you and said, here's what happened. I'll give you the final union dialogue on that. Roger Elliott, God rest his soul, was the mayor's father. He said, Mayor, these guys over here in Brook Park, they only pay 1.5% of Chevy workers, and most of the workers from Cajun Chevrolet live in Brook Park, by the way. They should be paying 2% like us, and they passed the tax. Because they were your neighbors, they knocked on the door, we said we need it, we need the money, and it's unfair what's going on, and that was the last time, 1999, that the citizens of this community increased it. Yes?
Okay, you said about the sewer thing, that you're going to take and pay for half, we're going to pay for half,
Right.
and we're responsible. Why are we responsible for something that we had nothing to do with? We're grandfathered in. Now you're telling me that you're going to have to dig my front yard up? Wait, I had Brian McTaggart come out a couple years ago, just before you were mayor, and he says, you need to disconnect all your sewers and run them out in your land. I looked at him, I said, you're out of your mind. It's not going to happen. I said, am I going to no longer have a sewer bill? He goes, wow, I never thought of that. Well, maybe before you come over here running your mouth, maybe you should check on that. Well, guess what? My sewers are still hooked up. We haven't had a problem since. I've lived in Brook Park since 1960. I've been out here as long as you have. I've lived on Michael Drive since 1960. So I know everything that's going on. I work for the Brea School Board. At one time, Brea School had 22 schools. Everything pretty much there is to know about around the area. You build all these houses, you build all these parking lots, Giant Eagles giant parking lot, all the condominiums behind me. I live between Hummel and Smith now, or Hummel and Snow. Those houses are flooded. Most of the houses never ever flooded years ago, and I know exactly why. I have friends that work with the city since day one. Under your, like you said, when you were the mayor, and you always had the sewer being blocked. When Elliott come out, he did away with that program. Guess what happened to Elliott's mom's house? It flooded very bad. You know, I'm on your side, but I'm also, there's a lot of things that change, and things...
Not all the way.
Right.
Okay, let me address what he's talking about. Okay. Again, we were built between 59 and 66. Forest City made their fortune here in Brook Park. They built 6,000 homes. 50 foot wide, 60 foot deep, mostly inadequate sewers. In some neighborhoods that we have in the city, there have never been sewers in the homes. So we did some testing. Why are you still getting water? So in some cases, the storm is tied in the sanitary. In some cases, we have them on top of one another. There's leakage. We're going to come back and test it. And if you were at the meeting, I don't know if you were designated to have a cross connection, I said to everybody, I feel helpless here. Back in the day, hey Luke, get the engineer out there, what's it going to cost us? A couple $100,000 to get these things all fixed. Can't do that anymore. So in talking to the council, they felt the same way. How can we make this work? Now, in some cases, you know, if we're your partners, if we're both putting money in the deal, you're more inclined to take care of it. So what happened was the county did inspections on these homes, and quite frankly, they weren't the best because of some happened. So again, each individual, we're going to come together, retest, and give you your options. And if the option you say, hey, I'm happy the way it is, I'll do nothing, okay, fine. But if then you have flooding, then we have to say, listen, here's the story. Now, so everybody else knows, we still come in with our sewer crew to take care of things. The plumbing union, what about union mad at me? Plumbers union hates my guts. Okay, you know what it costs for a plumber to come to your house. We still go out there, but what we're doing now, we had one gentleman, very nice gentleman, we were there 48 times. He's got to take his tree down. He takes his tree down, his problem's gone. We're not coming out there anymore if we tell you what the problem is. So let's see, I don't know what your assessment was before. We're going to upgrade all those and talk to folks. But we're going to try to find a way, okay, rather than arguing about whose fault it is, how can we remedy the problem? So be patient with us. If you've been here that long, you're patient. Okay?
Okay, why not open the rec center to the general public?
Besides
Albert Park.
It is.
Park.
It
And
is.
charge them the same rate that we're getting charged.
No, we don't. We charge them more.
I know you do, but if you did that, you would bring the people from Planet Hollywood, because now you're going to have a swimming pool, you're going to have a lot more facilities there that you can offer. So even if you kicked it up $15 for all the outsourced.
Still not enough.
I know they're going to go, no,
It's still not enough. Let me say this, the amenities in almost all the new clubs, they don't have swimming pools in them. They don't, but let me tell you why. Because of the cost. I love a steam bath. Okay? They're not doing steam baths anymore. Because again, the reoccurring cost and the health issues, so while it's amenity to us, the reality is we have to charge a lot more money. We also have a program, if you're employed in the city of Brook Park, you can join our rec center for a discounted rate. The same thing like our water park. I wanted to build an indoor-outdoor pool to give people more so that you could be swimming while your grandkids are playing at the water park. That didn't happen. So while that's a nice facility, I have to tell you, the turnout for that is challenging. And we're going to evaluate that again to see if it makes sense to do that. But then if we do it, Eric Point's taking stuff away. I have to justify, if you remember in my first discussion, back when we put the taxes on the ballot, everything has to compete for the dollar. Every single thing has to compete for the dollar. And if you don't, if we can't deliver it that way, then we can't do it. So let's find a way to work together to say, if we change this service mode, okay, there's some feeling nostalgically, if this is Joe for Pizza, they're not coming down the street taking care of it, it's not right. Well, I don't think you feel that way. I think that you feel, okay, I paid my taxes, I want to know, my garbage is going to get picked up, the snow's going to get plowed, I call the ambulances coming, I call the police, and they're going to be there. We're not perfect on every delivery.
Should I step up there and just say?
Right, I'm going to give you an example right now. None of your problems are jail. If you're going to live in our jail, I'm not the answer. Okay. I got a letter the other day from the Department of Rehabilitation from the state of Ohio. Now listen to this one. I've got to put sunlight in the jail. I have to have bigger areas for people to exercise in. I got to have all these things. If you remember when I first came to office, I asked the judge of the Virginia Municipal Court, hey, listen, give an order out. Let's consolidate our booking. Let's consolidate our dispatch. And I'm hoping to be proud to announce that our dispatching unit will be joining with Parma Heights, so that we can deliver better and increased service that way at much lower cost. All right. So we're trying to do things all the time that enhance that. But can you imagine me going, hey, listen, guys, I'm sorry, I got to put $2 million in the jail. You're going to hit the ceiling. But that's what we encounter all the time. There are hidden things. And today the engineer comes in and said, hey, we analyze. Anybody live on Gallatin? We have a sewer collapse on Gallatin. It's going to probably cost about 20 grand, and we got to fix it in the next several days. So again, you're only 24 hours away from disaster. Isn't that? Okay, we have 2 more minutes for live broadcast. That's okay with me. I'll stay for as long as you want. So you want me to close out from them?
Yes.
We're going to leave our live broadcast, but we're going to have citizens here. They're either going to hug me or hang me. How's that? Good night. Thanks for listening. Go ahead.
I'll hug you, and I'll hang you. But I'm 50-50 with you. I
you say that as a community we have to come together and make an agreement that we have to make sacrifices to not fall over? I understand that. But at the same time, when I have an 80-year-old neighbor who has a hard time pulling out a 25-pound trash can for one bag of trash, you're fortunate that you're a healthy senior citizen, that you look good physically, that you're okay mentally. What about those? I said 50-50. But what about those seniors? What about those seniors that can't pull those trash cans out?
And I'm glad you
made. I'm not finished.
Okay, I'm sorry.
In addition to that, though, as a community, my family has been here since 1960 as well. We own 2 properties, one on Elmon Smith, or Elman Smith, and one at Michael Smith. But as a community, set aside from politics, set aside from council, if we know, and I get emotional on this, but if we know that something is good for our community, we may not like it. Just like with our seniors, I do not like that. But as a community, if we could come together to volunteer, the people who have pickups, the people who have a trailer tractor that could pull it along, that could take that trash out for our neighborhoods, for our seniors. I'm going to be old one day. I might not look as good as you. But there's seniors out here that need help.
Okay.
No, it's not okay.
No, I'm trying to answer your question.
Well, don't dance around it.
I don't dance around. I'm not a very good dancer. I might be good looking, but I can't dance. Okay, I'm going to answer your question. Everything that you just said is 100% right. And as I said to you, the reason that we started these programs, okay, but let me finish now. The reason we started these programs was for the very reason you talked about. This rubbish collection that we have wasn't very well thought out. I'm trying to answer your question.
No, I don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to the community.
All right, well, at any rate, I'm sure everyone's helping their neighbors. Okay?
Can our neighbors come together to help the seniors so that we can save some money? We do.
I do it every day. Ask Pat Evans. I help her every day.
Okay, let's have a time out here. This is my meeting. Whether I'm good looking or not doesn't matter. I imagine, let me explain to you about it. Those big cans you talked about, it was Councilman Carl Burgess. Is Carl here? Is Carl still here? Councilman Carl Burgess introduced legislation to get us smaller cans. Here's what I'm saying to you. The rest of the world was outsourcing their garbage in Brook Park, spent money to collect. Oh, you're leaving, but they want, the cans are too big for the people. I agree with you, for the most part, including me. I don't generate that kind of garbage. All right? So what I'm saying is that expense to operate that system doesn't work. If we outsource it to collection, the seniors don't have to worry about it. And if we have to get smaller cans, that's something we can do. It doesn't cost you anything. What we did was this. The reason the greatest, I beg your pardon? Yes, it does, but we reduce, what you're not listening to is we don't have the manpower. We reduced the manpower that used to do that work. They're not. The fact of the matter is, we have to clean sewers, we have to fix the streets, we have to cut the grass, we have to pick up garbage, we have to do all those things. We don't have the manpower to do them all. And I would much rather be like everybody else in the 21st century of delivering services and use the talent of the men that I much trust their abilities to make sure our sewers function than picking up our garbage. That's what I would rather do, because that makes the most sense. And so you know, Middleburg Heights, who everyone thinks is so wonderful, they contract the garbage out, they contract out the sewer work to the county. I'm not willing to do that. I'm not willing to take that chance. But what I'm saying to you is, the old ways of doing things, employing these people, give me the payroll dollars, and you challenge me to develop jobs, to keep these people working, it It cannot happen. That's what I'm trying to tell you. The only reason we're in a position to move on and operate is because we cut folks. And besides those folks working for the city, they happen to be people that I know and that I love. And we replaced every one of them. And then when somebody retires, I have a contractual agreement to bring them back. There'll be 3 next year, 2 the next year, until we get our folks back where they belong. But right now, you can't do all the things that you want unless you pay or you let me and the council make the changes that are necessary. It's got to be one or the other. And you're not inclined to pay for that. You're not. Okay, if you want to ask a question, you got to get up here. Yes, sir.
Okay. Have you in council talked about an alternative to this trash situation? You bought 3, this was Mark Elliott, I understand what he did.
Right.
He bought 3, 4 trucks.
Right.
I don't know what they were, 250,000, 500,000 apiece. That's $2 million if it's 500. Okay? You outsource that.
Right.
That $2 million that he spent for those trucks and the cans, regardless of what the cost of the cans were, how are we going to recoup that money that was spent?
The provider is buying them.
The trucks.
They're buying the trucks, they're buying the cans, they're buying everything. They're buying everything.
Okay, now, here's the other question that I have. What is it going to cost? Are we going to recoup the money even for the cost of the trucks and all the cans that you purchased?
Okay.
Are we going to make out on that?
We're not going to make out. The bottom line is we're going to sell them. All right, there was a decision made, which if I stayed as mayor, the first thing I'm going to do is outsource the garbage. Reason being, keeping the workforce to do something else. So the answer to your question is this. We painstakingly went through the value. What are the values of the truck? Less depreciation. Okay, are we going to be made whole? The answer to that question is yes. We put just what? We new gas tanks on a couple of them. All right, and you're hitting the nail on the head. Where we save right now is on the capital side. So therefore, the payments right now are $223 a year. So if we keep doing this, I've got to buy 5 more trucks. So your payments are going to now start to go from the ones that are still left, the residual, to new ones, and you won't have any money to fix the streets. You hit the nail right on the head. So what I'm saying to you is, we negotiated an agreement, which has to be bid, by the way, okay, to do exactly, to achieve what exactly you have just talked about.
Okay. The roads. Where are you going to get the money? It's going to be, I live on Larkfield. I've been here since 1995. Larkfield, to rebuild that road, I heard anywhere between $500,000 and $750,000 to rebuild that road. And it's 2 to 3 years old now, and the road is starting to crack.
Correct.
Patched.
Right. And again, therefore, we used to do a crack sealing program. 2 years after we put a new road in, we would do a crack sealing to secure those kinds of issues. So the fact of the matter is we would need capital. To give an example, what you're talking about right here, let's say Doris Drive from Wengler to Beaufort, to replace that, $340,000. Holland Road, 71 to Ingle, 1.3, that's $10 million. Michael Drive, Hall of the Snow, $321. Robert Drive, $472. Starlight Drive, $972,000. Okay, that's why I'm asking you to consider a city income tax. Now, if I don't get that, I might have to go to council and ask them to borrow the money. Right now, out of our capital fund, 26% of that 20% goes to debt retirement, Rainbow Road Sewer, for this one, for that one. So we've got to get a free and clear source for doing this. And what I used to do, when I was mayor before, we had 70-30, 60-40, I would take 10% of your market for debt retirement service. I would go and borrow money and use this to pay it off over a period of time so we can get the work done quicker. And we keep doing that, replenishing it, doing it. So the answer to your question is, we need to allocate out of, if I have the money, if I would put this year, I'm going to look at probably doing about $150,000 in crack sealing. other small things our service department will do, small maintenance repairs, things like that. But again, if my guys are on yard waste and garbage, they can't be out doing that other work, all right? So you understand the dilemma that we're in. So the answer to your question is two things. The biggest thing we need, and I'm asking you to consider tonight, is that we place this on the fall ballot for the capital improvements. It'll give us the relief in other areas so we can address some other concerns, okay? So that's what's going on, all right? Yes?
Mayor, my name's Louis House. I live in Richard Drive.
Yes, sir.
What I'm asking you is, the recreation center or recreation department, are they closing any of your, like baseball fields, softball fields, this stuff, that's going to be left open?
No, not at all. There's no programs that have been affected. The only thing we have to do is, again, find the programs that were affected were senior services. Council has appropriated amount of money for that. We need to find a way that we can get private contractors to do that. The ideal way is that we give you a voucher, you contract with who you want for those services. We'd have to figure out what that cost is. Now, on the old list, we probably had about 1,200 seniors that were on those programs. Okay, so let's just say, I'm not saying we're going to give you 100, so don't quote me on it, I'm just saying we do. You're talking $120,000 a year. But it's still more effective, and it's cheaper for us to provide the service that way. In particular, when we can take the cost centers of the city and address our capital needs, there are challenges like that operationally. Will the workers ever come back to do that, the numbers of workers? No, they will not, because we're going to be basically flat. All right? You heard what 200 workers generate in the city. If I got 200 for the next 10 years, okay, what are we talking, $800,000? It's not enough to sustain. So again, we need to change the way we deliver services. Yes, sir.
Putting the sewers in now, are they going to service that, or are they just going to put a patch through the sewer?
Well, right now, we have to see, again, that is on what they call the county road system. That's eligible for the $5 license plate money, part of it. So there's a whole group of funding through an agency called NOACA, which is 5 counties, and Brook Park is competing with Parma, Parma Heights, and everybody else. And what we try to do, we've always paid for our own engineering to give us a leg up. So, hey, listen, we got the plans, we're ready to go. Okay. So we're looking at how that's going to be done. Immediately when it's done, there's some work they're going to have to do down the center. There's some work we're going to have to do. Hopefully the timing will be where we get the nod from the county to say, okay, we're ready to go with the project. Like State Route 237, Louis Katz, the service director, I'm going, Louis, State Route 237, you see us up here last year, we're filling those holes. It's terrible, what are we going to do? And we're up there working, expending that money, and next thing I get a letter, hey, we're considering doing State Route 237. Great, from one term to the other. Where are you doing it at? And so today, we went to a meeting, construction meeting, we found out where they're going to do it at, you see? So that's where we're at with Smithfield.
Mayor, for your time.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, Richard Vaughn. The previous taxes that you asked for was kind of pulling the trigger real quick, and now you're coming along and saying, let's increase the tax by 0.5%. Why wasn't this considered before?
Well, I'll tell you why, Rich. I'll tell you why. Because, again, the challenge for the money, okay, in making decisions, you got to remember here, we were the Titanic from a financial standpoint. We kept spending money to float that was going to be, it's not forever, all right? So in having discussions with people, okay, here's what we're going to do. No, you can't do that. We have to have the senior programs. We have to keep them. We got to keep the rec. I said, okay, here's what I'll do. Because what my worry was, when I left here, we had to have a lot of money in this town. And I dreamed that money would be used for continuing economic development. Well, it changed. All right? So therefore, if I put on a levy that was segregated for the senior citizens programs and recreation only, no mayor, no council could change it unless they went back to the people. So that the gentleman over there, I want to know, don't bullshit me, what's this money going to be used for? You couldn't change it. And when I talked to you about the income tax, what was that going to be used for? To rebuild our roads, to rebuild our sewers. We need facilities and people put their nose up here. Our firemen don't work in the best quarters. We need equipment for them. Our police department, our rec center roof that you can see. So that's why I proposed at that time, because, all right, as the mayor, it is my job every year to tell you what the finances are. So, okay, I'm going to go out there, you're presenting the information. What decision did you make? You said, no way, I'm not paying that. Not going to do it. You find a different way. So what I have been painstakingly doing over the last 16 months is to find a way to make these things work within the parameters of the revenue that we have. And what I cannot do is fix your streets, the revenues we have. Unless you want to live in this condition for years and years and years, you're going to wait. Because as you've seen, every street is only going to get worse. And when I say to people, the average age of our street is 60 years old, think about it. You've been there a long time. When was the street built? You remember when I put the curbs over on your street, or more on the rest of it? It's been a long time ago. You see it sinking down. All right? So therefore, how do we find the best way? And it's the income tax, because again, most of our people will not have to pay that increase. People who work here will. I will. The city workers will. Okay? So how do we solve these problems? So that's why we're back here again. If I was here to be a character, I'm not a manager. That's not what I do. I'm a dreamer, I'm a builder, that's what I did in this town for 20 years. And I left when I thought my job was done. I came back because many of you may have changed your minds lately. So come back here and straighten the joint out. So I'm not here for the long term. I'm here short term to get us in a good place. So whoever comes into this job, number one, you'll be informed as what's going on, and number two, I can leave here and say, you know what, we're rebuilding our neighborhoods, we're doing our things. The initiatives that we're taking in housing, when it comes to fruition, it's going to transform the town. It's going to transform the town. Okay, because we're going to do things. I am not a patient person. I am not. I'm not. If I see a problem, I'm going to address the problem. I'm not. Never have been, never will be, so that you got the wrong guy here. We're going to, by the time I leave here, and I'm going to be leaving, either beforehand if you throw me out, or at the end of my term. I'm not going to be here anymore after that. Okay? It's time for a new generation, and I hope that we have, what I see in this place this evening are citizens that have been here for a long time, and I'm grateful that you're here. And I'm grateful for what you've done for the town. But damn it, Beth, we got to get young folks in this place. Eddie, we got to get young folks in this place that will take the same stake as our finest citizens here this evening. That's the challenge to us. You need to participate and talk, because it is you that we're going to have to do these things for. Okay? Yes, sir. Dick was a hell of a first baseman too.
Money generated by that tax increase, will it be set aside just for road repair?
Yes, I'm going to ask council. We've been talking about this. One thing we're not in dispute with is we got to fix our roads and sewers. So it'll be earmarked on there that the proceeds of that 0.5% must go to capital improvements and capital improvements. Okay? All right. Yes.
My name is Jasmine Catron, and I'm on Mountain Road. I would like to first say that I do agree we do need to vote on raising our taxes. Our city is falling apart. Our children are going to be the ones that pay for that. I've invested my life savings into the city. My husband has invested his life savings into the city, opening a business at one point. If we could do that, even though it didn't work out, we can certainly, just pay a little bit of extra money for our community and our children. However, I don't understand why it is in my community that I care so very much about that I would have to take my own lawn clippings to. I just can't.
Are you mad about that?
You know what?
Are you mad about that?
I'm not mad about it.
Good.
But I am very.
Because I got you here. I got you here.
I don't have a reason to disagree with you.
Here's what I'm saying.
Here's, at this point,
Okay, does it make any sense? Okay, you go there, you talk to council, and you say, listen, we are reducing manpower. We're reducing it, because we have to. We got to get this budget straightened out. We got to get ourselves in some financial condition. So these reductions have taken place. The men are not there to do it. We had this discussion. And let me finish now. And we're having a debate at council about how long we meet. We need to have more time. So what I'm saying to you is this. Long term, we have to outsource this. Okay? I will sit with them. We'll extend it a little bit. All right? We're picking up yard waste right now for you. I can't do that all summer long. So we have some time. We'll talk to the director. Let me finish now. We'll extend that a little bit longer. But what I want you to know is this. If for no other reason you came here, help me. Okay? Okay, well, listen, neither do we. And neither do we. What I'm saying to you is this. What I'm saying to you is this. You want your stuff picked up at your curb, don't you?
May I finish my sentence?
Yes.
I have worked very hard along with my husband. We work very, very hard to make our lives here in this community. I do not want to go backwards. I have done everything I could for my children to come here. I didn't choose Parma because Parma schools weren't where I was born. I couldn't afford Rocky River or they'd be there no time about our schools. But just saying, they're really out there, okay? But I can't afford it. So we have to, in order to be able to afford that, be willing to pay it. I understand what you're saying. I get that. I agree with you. But in the meantime, we're going to allow our community to fall apart by people not taking it because they're not going to, or putting the money into cameras and surveillance. It's so silly.
All right, well, you know what? Listen, I love this. I love this. All right? We're not surveilling anybody. We have cameras there right now to make sure contractors don't come down there and dump crap in our yard. Okay? Here's the reality of it. Okay? We'll extend that. But I want council to know they cannot be fearful of making the progressive change that needs to be made. And why should we waste resources? Why should we waste manpower? Because what's just important, you think your city looks like crap? Look at the roads. Go over to the rec center. Okay, everybody, we're going to bring the carnival back. I hope everybody's happy. Carnival's coming back. Okay? The weekend and I are walking over the parking lot. And here's the catch basin with a gap in this block that we have to fix. So what I'm saying to you is right now, the reason we want to stream that you will hear when I bring a proposal to council. You will hear what our discussions are about it and what makes sense. And largely what I've heard from this thing is more, you think you know Brook Park right now? You love it? Do you love it? Okay, and what I'm saying to you, the reason I'm there again is to bring to you what I have and bring to your children what I have. And the only way we do that, it's the whole purpose of this meeting, is to change the way we deliver services. So we'll find a way over the next month to extend it a little bit, but that's going to be about it. We need to change the way we deliver that services. And what are we waiting for? Because I grew up being a garbage man, I'm mayor, or we're different? Let me suggest to you, if we don't change the way that we operate, we're not going to be special anymore, and we're not going to be different anymore. We're going to be the same. Well, but $5 a month isn't anything. Okay? What I'm saying... Okay, but what I'm saying to you is, I don't want to charge anything. All I want to do is outsource the service and not charge you anything. Why would you want to pay $5? Yes, you are. Yes, you are. But the difference is what you're not listening to. You were going to pay it anyway to the workers to do that work. You'll be paying them to clean your sewers and fix your streets and take care of your part. You're missing the allocation of manpower in the equation. I beg your pardon? I'll talk to the service director and see how we can schedule it. I don't even want to do that. Because what it does, we're just prolonging making a decision. So the bottom line, we cut $1.6 million in payroll, most of it from the service department. So what it cost us, it was $1 million and change to pick up garbage ourselves. It's going to cost us about $1 million and change to outsource the garbage, except we don't have the capital cost, because I've already reduced the cost by laying off people at the beginning of the year. That's the numbers. That's the numbers. Yeah, that's the numbers. And I can show them to you. I will. Come to my office, I'll be happy to do that.
Wrap it up.
Thank you. You're always welcome. Let's get over here to questions. She's next, or you're not done yet?
No.
And I don't exactly understand the lawsuit situation. To me, it seems like bad money being wasted. I don't have a clue who these people are, I don't care. But to me, to make a point, it seems like a lot of money to be wasted. So I don't understand exactly the lawsuit. And I hope that can be dropped to save all of our money.
Okay, well, at any rate, okay, thank you.
That's why I went up before and said, like, stopping at the street.
I beg your pardon? Okay, what do you want to know? About the lawsuit? I explained about the lawsuit before. Okay, the fact of the matter is that the ordinance that was amended is unenforceable. And what's happened, this ordinance has been in the book for 30 years. So therefore, we need clarification from the court. Is the law directors who have ruled this way over the years, has the way we've operated over the years, lawful and correct, or it's not? If not, we'll keep having this. We feel that by initiative petition, you cannot take the authority away from the mayor's office. You cannot supersede collective bargaining. There's a whole host of arguments that the law director is making, and the bottom line is, does this cost you money? Yeah, it does. It costs you on the lawsuit side, but not prevailing will cost you a lot more.
Mr. Mayor, I live up on Larkfield. I've been there since 1988. My house, I've had to have my sewer redone. We had the 50-50 with the sidewalks.
Right.
They went to replace it. The company that you had next door cracked one of my other pieces of concrete. Nobody ever came and fixed it.
Okay.
I have been paying taxes for the city and supporting the schools. I never had children. And I've been paying the taxes. Every time I turn around, I get a notice from Third Federal. They're raising my mortgage. You know, I have been trying to keep, myself afloat. You want to have another tax increase. I am sorry, sir, I cannot okay it because I do not get an increase.
Okay, well, I understand that. All I'm saying to you, here's the challenge. Here's the thing. The council cannot pass a tax. I cannot enact a tax. All we can do is come to you and say, would you consider doing it? The only one that can raise your taxes is you. Now, property taxes, so you know very little comes to the city that you pay. And if you got an, let me finish. When you get an increase in your mortgage payment, all of our people vote for the metro parks. They don't vote for our own parks, they vote for the metro parks. You get an increase in your taxes. If the school passes one, I think in 30 years we would have passed one school tax in this town, we defeat it, but we still get the effects of it.
Can you explain to me how many times I've gotten my mortgage raised because taxes were raised?
And I just told you why. The city, well, I beg your pardon?
It wasn't once in 30 years.
Okay, you're not listening to what I'm saying.
It's been 4 times.
Okay, we didn't raise your taxes. There's no property tax increase for the city that I ever remember, ever.
How do you expect me to pay
I don't expect you to do anything. I'm explaining to you what a need is, and I'm explaining to you that you have not had an increase in your tax in this city, for the city, since 1999. Right, you pay to the county, you pay to the metro parks, you pay for the county health and welfare, the sin tax, you name it, but your mortgage payment will be, has to be addressed if there's an increase in the county taxes, and the city doesn't do that. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Another one.
Business, it started at 7, it's now 10.
What street is this? Okay, what street was this?
Yeah, my guys are on OT now.
All right, well, I'm wrong. Oh, we overlaid the street.
It's 8:50.
I was thinking
2 hours. It's too long.
My guys should be out of
All
here.
right. Okay. Okay, I'll accept your criticism. Thank you. Okay, Councilman Higgins.
Mayor Klein, full disclosure, I am Councilman Brian Higgins. I guess my question this evening is, why is it that when you and the service director come up with this yard waste plan, action plan, which is going to fail, did you not entail and include council with this plan? Instead, you had this thing dreamt up, printed up, and at the mail house and delivered to people the day after you announced it without any council members' input whatsoever.
I'll answer that question. As you know, as a service director of the city of Cardinal, the administration implements operational procedures. Okay? I felt that I made my argument with you and the council about why it should be contracted out, and I really didn't think anything else was necessary. And there's no good solution. And I think that you should be aware, maybe you're not aware, there was no plan for solid waste when these trucks were purchased originally, and they were going to put roll-offs in the neighborhoods for people to put their yard waste in. So therefore, if I'm remiss in informing you of what we put out, then I'll apologize to you. But the fact of the matter, I made it very clear, our lack of capabilities in the short meeting that we had, in a personal meeting with you, what our shortcomings were.
Thank you for that explanation, Mayor. That's correct. There was never a plan originally when this yard waste program was brought out, given to council about any roll-offs or any such thing prior to you coming on board. So that's a failed plan. It's not going to work. When I sat down with you on behalf of council, all I asked you was to sit tight, get the budget passed. We'll sit down and take a look at this. Your next action was to come up with this plan, and I'm going to make an assumption. I'm going to assume that you thought as council people would get enough folks calling us and beating on the doors and coming to these meetings to cause such an uprising that A, you get an audience to pass a tax, which by the way, folks, I agree that is needed. That 4.5% tax from 2 to 2.5% in this city, that's 100% credit. It's not going to cost me anything. I'm paying that already where I work. Seniors don't have to pay it. I don't think that's the end of all. So I'm in agreement with the mayor there, by the way. But this rubbish thing could have been handled a lot differently, I think.
50-50. It's a 50-50. Do you have anybody else before Mr. Peterson? Sir, do you have a question, or you were Mr. Peterson?
Oh, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I haven't seen you for a long time. You don't look Irish anymore.
I don't look Irish anymore. What, Italian?
It's not like that. But anyway,
I look like the devil.
how do you know 0.5% going to solve the problem of this city? But you didn't even know how much $100,000 home, 100% how much it costs.
Because you don't pay it on a home, you pay it on income.
On income?
Yes. So that's why I didn't know. Well, it depends on what your income is. So how do I know? Because I know right now that if I had $4 or $5 million a year, I could go out and borrow the money with the debt retirement service to do all kinds of road projects in the town and sewer projects that we need, because I have a revenue source. And we go to Moody's for the bonding capabilities. What is your revenue source? What do you have the ability to, your financial strength to remedy your problems if you want some money? So if I had an additional $4 or $5 million a year, which that tax would generate, I feel very strong.
Real estate tax too, right?
Nothing to do with real estate. Income tax. No real estate tax. There. That's it. Okay? I'm waiting for you. I mean, Mr. Beadle is at every meeting. He's a very loyal guy. And look how patient he is. Believe me, he'll hammer me. He's going to get it.
You want us to be open-minded with all the changes.
Yes.
We do not we're against the privatizing our fire and EMS.
Sure you are.
But you have nothing nice to say about the fire department. Every time you talk about the fire department, you're putting them down.
No, I think I was very clear this evening, and I think I've been very clear. You raised an issue. I have said I don't challenge their abilities at the door. We have had fundamental differences for a long, long time about how we get there. Okay? And the issue that's forthcoming about how we operate. So we have differences there. All right? And what I'm saying to you is down the line, not right now, if we consolidate our operations, I would be very pleased. But down the line, all cities have to have a way to address delivery of fire service in EMS, because none of us can afford the model that exists right now. And I'll give you an example. We have a combined EMS in our town. A lot of cities do not. Okay? We have a lot of paramedics. Thank God we have. So we need to have a discussion about this, what the costs are. Is there a better way of delivering this on a fee-for-service? We'll have that discussion. So therefore, what I'm saying to you, you can disagree, the town can disagree and say no. But I think we should have this conversation in the future about this. Not now, but in the future.
Saying you don't always put it down.
I don't put, that's not, it's absolutely not true. It's absolutely not true. That's not even close to being true. No, it's not true. It's not true. Well, they may agree with you, but I'm telling you factually, it's not true. It's not true. No, it's not. It's not. Okay. Last question before Mr. Beerland.
Back to your press. Okay. You put it out that it's going to be until 3 o'clock Monday through Friday.
That was a mistake. It's 7:30. There was a typo in this. I'm sorry.
But it was still till 3 o'clock.
I understand that. It should say 7:30 or 7 o'clock.
Well, then, if you made something out there, then you should have recalled it. What? You did not change it. That's what all the city people got.
Okay.
Now, you're going to say after the day on Saturday. So when it was 3 o'clock, all the people, what time do you work till? Do you work till 3 o'clock Monday through Friday? Absolutely not. So all of us believing it's going to be 3 o'clock, half a day on Saturday. You're going to have 5,000 people down Howland Road trying to get in there, and you're going to have one guy checking to see if we're a resident? How is that going to even work? It is impossible.
Okay. Are you done? Okay. Okay. Thank you. I said it was a ridiculous idea. But the alternative is there wasn't a progressive response to what I suggested at the beginning. So the periodical, if we make mistakes all the time in proofreading thing, was supposed to be until 7:30 in the evening, Monday through Friday. So that is the mistake. That is the mistake. Okay. We're going to send you things out. We're going to put knockers on your handle. So you know. No. I expect someone, if we have to continue this, I don't expect us to have to continue. Because I'm hoping, as Brian Hayes did say, that folks say, hey, we got to make this change. No, I don't. I expect his neighbor to help him if that's the case. And we will have someone, excuse you, can I finish? Can I finish? Can I finish? And we will have somebody at the service. No, I didn't do away with the snow, sir. You did by your vote. All right? So let's have some responsibility. All right, anybody else? My dear friend, okay, he's been, let me get you last. He has been waiting very patiently. Who's got the microphone? Well, I want people to hear what you're saying.
I don't need a microphone to hear my
Okay.
What I need, I'm really upset that you let me talk, I wouldn't let me, but let's go beyond that. But for 3 hours, I tried to get on your website, and for 3 hours, they said this program would be at 4 o'clock, and it was running behind. So I had to drive up. Let's go beyond that. When it comes to other cities and we have to do things different, yes, we do. Then why aren't we doing our roads different? What am I talking about? Cleveland and Parma, they got a truck and it's got a snorkel on it. The man doesn't get out of the truck and he fixes the streets. He does the work of 6 men in labor and he gets more work done because he doesn't have to get out of the truck. Fires we doing that. We want to have roads.
You have any idea how much the truck and material did? Yes, it does. Well, listen to what you're just saying. How do you know we're going to save anything? How do you know we're going to save? You don't know that. The fact of the matter is, how much does that truck cost? And what does a special, you know? I don't know. Okay. All right, well, we will get the information on that. Any further questions from anybody? Yes, this is the last one. Does anybody know who the Browns took? Okay. you're the last
I don't
one.
know, I checked a little while ago. The quarterbacks went to
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Tennessee, Mariota to Tennessee, and
He made it,
Winston
but
to
go ahead.
Tampa.
All of you people, I'm telling you right now, if you're at this meeting, you need to go to your company. Amen to that. To be up there and asking questions and being the only one there and having nobody behind me that is up there asking the same question. It's very, very irritating. I don't think it's always in January, but you really need to be there because this should be avoided.
Is this that crazy lady who hold her feet up? Would she put her feet up on the furniture and all that?
Yeah, speak to them.
At council meeting, the mayor said he would like $115 from every resident to bring back our services.
I already did that.
Then, at the next council meeting, I brought it up, and Mr. Higgins said that a tax increase is based on your property. So he can't ask us for that money. It has to be for your property.
Voted on for that, for a property tax increase. That is correct.
My question is, why, when you started all of this crap that we're going through now, wasn't a 0.5% increase on our taxes, income taxes, for capital use
Yes,
brought up before,
it was.
and just have that? And I don't care about all of your other little agenda. Just say what you want and keep the crap out of it.
Okay, let me address, okay, get one more issue.
And I want to know why you push us to the limit. And with this lawsuit, nobody said anything before, and they had all of this stuff through before. Now we're spending all of this money on the lawsuit. Instead of picking up our crap. I mean,
They're not related. Let me say something. I know where you're going. So let me say something. And the reason we're here this evening, I don't care what you don't, it's always simplified. Hey, if you don't do this, you can do this. There are a multitude of problems every single day. And what I'm saying to you is this. I can address most of them. Will they be easy? Look, you want this town to continue to wait. Does anybody disagree that we have problems here? And we've had them for a while. They shouldn't come in when I walk through the door. The difference is you now are aware of them. You're now the greatest secret in the whole world was don't tell anybody anything. All right? So now you're aware of the problems. Now we have to address them. And what I'm saying to you, I will attack the rest of them. I'm asking you to do two things. Let your council know that they don't have to be intimidated by making constructive change. And number two, if we put an issue on the ballot in November, that you consider supporting it if you want to rebuild your town. It's all up to you, not me. I'm telling you what the problems are. I'm giving suggestions of how they ought to be addressed. You make that decision. And I challenge, again, you have elections, when they come to your door and say, is the mayor a buffoon, a lying buffoon who hates the fire department? And they say yes. And you want to believe that, and you want to vote against the tax because of that reason, that's okay. If a person comes to your door and says, hey, what do you think about this? I don't like the mayor, but you know what? We got to fix our streets. We got to do this. We got to reach in our pocket because most of us aren't going to cost anything. And continue to talk about operationally what we need to do. That's all I'm asking from you. You don't have to agree with me. You don't have to vote for anything. That's what we need. One he gets done. And I want to tell you, this gentleman comes to every council meeting, he has constructive criticism. The only thing is you can't read one of your long reports, but he's a great fellow. Okay. I'm going to come down there so they can hear you. You have to talk in my pocket. Service director, he's walking around here someplace. I don't know where he went. Oh, he's right here. Okay, you got to get close to me and talk right here.
I go to quite a few council meetings, and I look at them in these. And there's usually 20, maybe 30 people to the meeting. And like I'm here tonight, there's about 200 people. And this is where you get your answers. But if you come to the council meetings, you'll learn about it as it comes. And I just want to quote one of their very famous quotation. As always, together, we can make great things happen.
All right. This is definitely the last one. Are you happy with that? Oh, come on. Come on over here. Come on. I'm used to, cast iron. That's okay. You can still make it up.
Oh, yes.
All right, go ahead. So we're going to close on somebody kicking the mayor's can. Go ahead.
I want to ask you, in council, would you take a lie detector test?
Yes.
Because I'm tired of getting papers. One paper says, you're off for this, and another paper comes and says, don't believe the mayor, he's lying.
Leave the one the mayor says.
Council people are lying.
Okay. Yes, I will take a lie detector test.
Good.
I will.
Council too.
All right. Well, council's not lying. Thank you all